This is After Hours, one of the spaces the 25 plus community of our church come together. The 8 p.m. service no longer exists, but our reason for wanting to reach those who are 25 to 35 still remains. Why is it that the best conversations always happen at the end of the night, after that church service ends, or once people have left the party, or in a lounge after the gig? It's in that space and during that time, when the lights are dimmed and the hype dissipates, that you start to relax. We get a bit more honest and real about our lives. We become unfiltered and go below the surface. We'll say what we really think or believe about the issues we're faced with in society. Some say it's during this stage of life that we struggle with identity exploration, instability, self-focus, feeling in between, and as though we're providing a meaningless role to society as we float from one thing to the next. But what if we could be different? What if we could make a difference? We want to get right to the heart of people who find themselves around that 25 to 35 stage of life and establish how we can positively shape the society we live in and impact the people around us as Christians. After Hours is one of the spaces we want to do that. We'll unpack the challenges and the opportunities that come with this age by hearing people's stories from our community, through Bible studies and meditations, and have raw and honest conversations with people from all walks of life. Our hope is to provoke thoughts and cause convictions to rise up in you and inspire you to create conversations of your own, which encourages you to take actions and to positively shape society in your world.
Hey, and welcome to another installment of After Hours, a space for the 25 to 35-year-olds in our church. As you can probably tell by my dodgy moustache, we're in November, a month where we focus on key issues such as male suicide and men's health. And so today we have another installment of Fadila and Friends. Fadila catches up with Adam and Yinka, who are a young couple in our community. She chats to them all about their struggle with mental health and even depression. And so if that's something that maybe you're affected by or something that maybe is triggering for you, then please just have that in mind. Otherwise, check it out.
Guys, so I've known both of you individually and together for 8 years.
Yeah.
And you've been married now for how long?
A year and a half.
A year and a half, very cute. The reason I actually was really keen to have a conversation with you guys is because it is November, and this is a month where we actually really talk about mental health in society.
Yeah.
And Yinka, you've actually been clinically diagnosed with depression, and I know, Adam, you have struggled with depression in the past as well.
Yeah.
And obviously we are in a year where actually depression rates are skyrocketing, anxiety rates are skyrocketing, suicidal rates are skyrocketing.
Yeah.
How have you both been able to manage kind of your mental health in this time and look after each other?
I know for me personally, setting a routine has been really important, as well as communication between each other. And that's one thing that can keep today looking different from yesterday, and kind of give you a reason to get up, I think, especially when it's like a prolonged period.
Yinka, I know you take a lot of pride in your self-care.
Hallelujah.
So what is that because of your mental well-being?
Yeah. So I have like two sides to me. I've got like the practical side of things where I have peace of mind if the house is clean or if our budget is created and stuff like that. But actually I'm a human being who loves reality TV, literally can binge watch anything that makes me laugh or feel lighthearted. We started to encourage the other person into their own time. So my time is run a bath, light some candles. I started getting into face care. I don't even know how you word it because it was so new to me.
Just face masks,
facials, masks, all that stuff. And And I just love it.
As we all know, it is November, and we have a lot of guys taking part in Movember, which is a time where we really highlight and put a magnifying glass on men's mental health.
Yeah.
Adam, how do you feel as a man in this time, kind of when you hear of these rates of, males committing suicide?
It's crazy, yeah.
Do you think that a lot of that has to do with, or some of it could be doing with the fact that men are known to, not everyone, but are known to not really speak out about their emotions?
That's definitely the stereotype, and I think, even the men that are close to me, whether that's family or friends, I think, talking about how you're doing isn't maybe the first thing you talk about. So yeah, definitely I think there's some truth in that. But yeah, I think it's more about creating another opportunity to have a conversation, and just checking in. I've sent a few texts out just being like, hey man, how you doing? Which, I tried to do that, but I think November just kind of makes you be accountable with yourself, I think, and trying to encourage those conversations. Yeah.
And Yinka, how do you feel like you be a friend to Adam that he can speak to and he can confide in? How do you do that?
I mean, it's interesting. In my daily working life, I'm in HR, so I'm very people focused. And so actually I've spent all day asking other people, how are you? So it's really, it's kind of more second nature to ask that question. So I think recently we've started to vocally ask each other, how are you? So we'll just be sitting at dinner and then I'll literally just go,
yeah.
no words.
Is that
It's a mic.
a microphone?
So just to clarify, that is a microphone. I'm not punching him in the face.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't know how you are until you're asked. Other times I knew that there was something maybe on your mind.
Yeah.
But most times it's random, to be honest with you, but it keeps us open and honest.
Yeah.
Because at any moment, he cares enough to see how I'm doing and vice versa.
And that's actually the first part of it. It's just realising where you're at. And it may be that you're in a really good place. So I'm not just talking about from a negative point of view. Yeah.
Do you think as well, acknowledging changes in people's behaviour? How do you how do you guys navigate that?
I mean, I don't know if I mentioned before, but I try very much to pay attention to my husband and to really observe him. How is he doing? What's his demeanour like? Is he slumped? Is he looking down? Just little things, right?
Yeah.
And so from paying attention, you actually can notice when someone's a little bit off. You can notice when someone's acting different than they usually do.
So what would you say is the most frustrating myth on mental health that you've both kind of encountered or heard?
I think the biggest myth and the biggest thing, the most common thing that I've had said to me when I was really depressed was when it was implied that was as a result of a lack of faith.
Wow.
That really is quite a toxic thing. It's quite a dangerous mindset to have.
Yeah.
Because mental health and physical health are they're
one and the same.
Yeah, they're no different. It's health, and if someone had a serious illness and went to the hospital for that doesn't demonstrate a lack of faith or belief that God can heal. I think it's a responsible thing to do, and sometimes a required thing to do.
Yeah.
And I just think we've got great resources. We should use them, and I think that's actually can get us to where we need to be quicker. And that doesn't mean that we don't believe in God.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so his word is true and his promises are true. And yet, I've been on antidepressants for 3 years.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
is it one or the other, or is this a journey of life, right? And it's about this perspective, right? Because a lot of mental health comes down to perspective and the way you see things, what lens you see something through. Honestly, it just goes to show that there is a time for everything. There's a time for everything. There is a time that God can heal you right there, standing on the spot. No intervention from a doctor. There is also a time where you will go to a doctor, you'd go through the NHS, you'd get a prescription, you'd pay for that prescription because you are above 21 years of age and not in full-time education. And you'll be on a journey of being healed through that way.
Wow.
And I think healing, if we really look at it, is about God restoring us to where we ought to have been before the fall of man. So that's not just your physical health, that's not just your mental health, that's your soul, That's everything that he created as a purpose for us.
Right.
Therefore, this restoration that we're going through is a lifetime.
So one that I've had to deal with is just be happy. Just, I don't know, like just take, just be happy, just be joyous, just, the
Happiness is a choice.
Happiness is a choice, yes. Yes, and I've definitely been there with friends, maybe even with you back in the day, like being like, come on Yinka, just, get pep in your
We've
step.
learned, right?
And I think maybe, what would you say to someone if that was still me now, with what both have experienced depression and are overcoming it in Jesus' name, what would you say to me?
Two things. One thing that I have learned through speaking with others, ride the waves. Ride the waves. We have emotions, and our emotions are a gift. Every facet of it, negative, positive, they indicate things to us within our being, and they bring things to the forefront.
Yeah.
Right? Humans need emotions, and so when you get an emotion that you maybe weren't expecting, ride it out. Eventually waves just kind of simmer down, rather than what most people may find is certain emotions they don't want to experience, therefore they lock it away, and then it bubbles over. Usually because it hasn't been processed or been let out. Adam used to tell me right when I started to feel anxious and depressive to break my day into parts. And it was just so helpful because I still had to go to work at that point. And he would just say, break your day into parts.
Get to work.
Get to work.
Get to lunch,
Yeah. Get to 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's 9:15. Get to 10.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I was like, okay, cool. So the finish line was so much closer than the finish line that I cannot see in sight.
And that gives you, I know for me, when I don't have that finish line, it kind of builds anxiety in you. Like, oh, I just can't see the ending.
Yeah.
One thing I would say with respect to someone who said be happy is be sensitive. It's such a personal thing, and I think like Christians can really be, myself included sometimes, can be too quick to speak, and I think saying stuff like just be happy to someone who literally feels like they want to die that could be a thing that
could be
that could be pivotal in that, even if you don't understand it yourself, you know what I mean, because it is confusing. It's even more confusing when you're in it, when you're going through it. It's so confusing. You're thinking, well, why do I feel like this? And I think when you're in as two people that have been in that, really badly, it's like when that's met with kindness, it does make a big difference.
We're in a time right now where it almost feels like a breeding ground for anxiety and depression. What would you say to someone right now who has that loss of connection to their meaningful work, has that lost connection to people, to their family, to their friends, and they're really feeling down? What would be two pieces of advice you'd both give?
Be kind to yourself.
You always say that to me.
I always say that. And give yourself a pat on the back, because you are literally surviving a global pandemic. Like, hello, you are getting through a pandemic.
Yeah.
The first of our generation, the first probably of your lifetime. And you're getting through it. You are literally getting through it. To me, it's just like round of applause, anyone?
Yeah.
And I think when we compartmentalize to protect ourselves, we sometimes forget the bigger picture is that the world is going through a pandemic. And so I just feel like if you continue to drive that force home a little bit, you realize, yes, I am getting through. Like, wow, well done me. And whatever the emotion is that you felt that day, is probably a normal one.
Yeah.
And I think, there's an element of we need to normalize the human response to chaos.
Wow.
Yeah.
So good.
There's chaos outside.
Well, my method that I find works is go back to basics. And what I mean by that is in 1 Kings, I think it is. I think it's probably one of my favourite passages with regards to depression. Is when Elijah is literally like, Jesus,
He wants to die.
I want to die. I don't want to live. However it's worded. He hates where he's at.
Doesn't want to.
And then God appears to him And the first thing he says, and this is in the Bible, by the way, is, get up and get something to eat. Basically.
So good.
And it's hilarious that that's actually in the Bible, because it's like, get up, get something to eat. Just face the day, like break your day up into chunks if you have to, but it's literally biblical. The first thing is to just get up. You'll be amazed what happens when you just get up, keep going. One thing that I absolutely make sure is, at the very minimum, is that I wake up, have breakfast and a coffee. I have lunch at a reasonable time, and I have dinner. That's what the Bible's saying to do. It's amazing what happens when you just stick to the basics. That'd be like some practical advice I would give.
You can phone Samaritans. That's over the phone 24 hours a day, every single day of the year. You can go through your local borough, you can put a form in online and get referred to mental health services. That's something that I've done before. You can hopefully talk to someone, but mindful that everyone doesn't necessarily feel like they have friends or someone they can really do that with. But I'm hopeful that there is one human being that will pick up the phone if you call. It's just real.
Thank you so much to both of you for being so vulnerable and honest. I love you both, and I really know this is really going to help people. Love you. Thanks. Air hug. Air hug. Thanks, guys.
That was so great. That was really
Thank you so much, Adam and Yinka. I'm truly inspired by you guys, and even by your vulnerability in what you were sharing. And Yinka talked about sometimes it just being small things that can help, incorporating daily habits into your routine. But for others, it might look like maybe ringing somebody, picking up the phone and having a conversation and saying that maybe you're not okay. And for others, it might just be reaching out and getting professional help, and that's okay. We don't claim to be experts, but we have included some links down in the description to some organizations who do have further info that might be helpful for you. But the important thing is we continue the conversation. We continue talking about suicide. We continue talking about depression. And over the coming weeks, we'll be doing so. And so we encourage you to keep your eyes peeled. Otherwise, we really do hope you have a great week, and we'll see you soon.